Hey, I'm still eating out here. I don't mind. No, I don't mind you guys coming along board. You guys are like family. If you were here, I'd share my victuals with you. Got some beans, got me a good sandwich, got me a cup of coffee and a banana, got me some chips. Nice repast, yes. Well, Tumbleweed Theater's got a great film for you tonight. Riders of Destiny. You know, we like those John Wayne films, particularly those early films when he's really sowing his oats, getting himself known, and working with some very good talent. This film is 1933, and this is one of his Singing Sandy Saunders film. He's a singing cowboy in this thing. Starts off with him singing this really cool song about death and things like that, and he sings it during a gunfight later on with Earl Dwyer, and he sings to the girl in this film, Cecilia Parker, and it's not his voice. And John Wayne was not really too happy or too keen with the idea of doing singing cowboy roles. He was quite happy when they dropped that, because I don't think he was too happy having to lip sync that stuff, singing while he's riding a horse and playing a guitar at the same time. Not sure if at that time he had the dexterity to do all those things at once. But I think he pulls it off well. The voice for John Wayne singing is Bill Bradbury. Now, Bill Bradbury is the son of the director, Robert Bradbury, who also sat down and directed and wrote this film. And, of course, we know that he is the father of Bob Steele, too. Now, the film not only has John Wayne in it doing a really nice job as a singing Sandy Saunders, okay, but also has Cecilia Parker, who is sort of the love interest of sorts. She starts off robbing a stagecoach, kind of cool. Okay, so you got a kind of a gender issue kind of working there, you know, that the woman is the bad guy, it seems. Kind of nicely worked out. You might know her better. She played the older sister to Mickey Rooney in the Andy Hardy series. Likewise, we got Gabby Hayes in this film. Of course, he's George Hayes at this time, and he plays the father to Cecilia Parker. We have Forrest Taylor, who plays the bad guy, who looks like a good guy, but he's a bad guy too. I love that in westerns, you know. It's like towns are always run by mayors who are crooked. Or the owner of the saloon who runs the town. He looks like a good guy, but he's actually a bad guy, and he sends his henchmen out. And this one here, it's pretty apparent he's a bad guy. And what this film is about, and it's pretty common for this day and age, 33 and on. Gene Autry is going to deal with this issue as well. Water rights. We even see that kind of thing pop up later in the early 40s with Angel and the Badman. The idea that farmers, ranchers out there need water. And we have somebody like this Forrest Taylor who comes along, and he controls the water, and he gets all the ranchers and farmers to pay him to let the water come to their land. Well, as it turns out, there's some cool things about water here I don't want to go into too far, but keep an eye on the well that is on Gabby Hayes' land. Pretty cool. Some nice sidekicks who really aren't sidekicks. When you get down to it, John Wayne he's a lone man in this one, and he really takes care of himself. But there is some comic relief in here. We have Al St. John in one of his early cowboy roles, and Heine Conklin. Both are stagecoach drivers and sort of henchmen to the bad guy, and they do some great comic bits, climbing up hills, falling down. They get roped together, and well, this is kind of a cruel thing, as a matter of fact, as I was watching this. At one time, the Singing Sandy finds these two guys who are kind of following behind him, and he ropes them together, ties them together, face to face, and then drags them all the way back to town on the ground. Ooh, you know. Other westerns, we'd find that cruel and unusual punishment. In this film, I guess, it's just sort of a quick way to get back to town because you don't have a horse. Okay, and it's kind of weird. And they make some cool jokes about it, too, that are kind of funny. Yakima Canutt is in this film. Earl Dwyer is in this film, too. He plays Slip Morgan. Now, Earl Dwyer is kind of a cool guy. He was in tons of films, usually playing bad guys, but sometimes he played the marshal of the town. He's a tall, thin man, and as my research shows me, he was somewhat of a very close associate of Bradbury. So he went out with Bradbury and Bob Steele and so on, and they went fishing a lot. And being a pal, Robert Bradbury really stuck him into a ton of the films that Bradbury would work. And I think he does a nice job in here. That great gunfight, okay, in this film between Singing Sandy and Slip Morgan. Okay, it's really nice. And it's kind of cool about singing Sandy. He seems to not want to shoot guys except for in the hands. Watch this, continuously he's shooting guys in the hands. Okay, like with Slip Morgan, shoots him in the wrists. Okay, and there's blood gushing out of there. He shoots another guy's guns out of his hands, talking about, and he says to Slip Morgan, he says, you're not going to be using them handguns anymore, things like that. So I'm not sure if when he was trained to shoot that he was just given hands as targets, and when he looks at a person, it's like he can only hit hands. Okay, but again, that kind of goes back. You see a lot of westerns where the good guy, doesn't really want to kill people. So what does he do? He shoots the guns out of their hands, and then that means he's not evil, And maybe he can get over the code, the production code, that he's not shooting guys through the head, right, or shooting guys through the heart or something like that. He goes for the hands, and of course he blows it up. Now what's kind of cool, if you're holding your gun like this, and you shoot the gun out of your hand, you better be pretty good at hoping that you get a ricochet that goes that way. Because I'm thinking if you shoot the gun out of the hand, it goes like that, wham, goes right into your chest or something like that. And that's just not a pretty picture. And they don't think of that kind of thing, right? Just shoot the gun out of their hands and then the bullet just sort of stops right there and falls to the ground, I guess, with the gun. Well, I think you're going to have a lot of fun with this film. Earl Dwyer is kind of a cool guy to watch, dressed all in black. He's a very thin, imposing character. John Wayne is a singing cowboy, really nice, and the song that he sings is really cool about how death and the gunfighters and so on. It's a real fitting song, and John Wayne does a good job lip syncing that stuff. So maybe he could, pat your head and rub your belly at the same time. Well, he can ride a horse, he can lip sync, and he can pretend like he's acting all at once. That's 3 things. Whoa! So he's multitasking. Riders of Destiny, 1933. One of those great Lone Star films. One of those great films that Robert Bradbury is really kind of working his best. When I get down to it, I think of that Robert Bradbury. I put him right up there with Joseph Kane and Whitney and folks like that who are making the key westerns of the, some people call it the B tradition. It's kind of unfair. They were B films, yes, but these are quality products with quality people working on them. Well, sit back, grab yourself some beans if you have a mind to. Beans always go well with this. Big cup of joe, that goes good with it. Even a banana. Rolling Smoky. Here's what I like to do. Sandwich dipped in the beans. Oh yeah. Of course what that does is it marks the beans for me because nobody else will eat them because they see big chunks of crap in there. No. Good.